Welcome to Business Minds. I'm Cindy Bird. I'm a business owner, educator, and thinking partner with a passion for helping people and businesses thrive. So I'm so honored that you've chosen to join the program today. My goal for Business Minds is to connect you with business professionals, aspiring entrepreneurs, and forward thinkers for opportunities to have some thought-provoking learning, some collaboration, all designed to build relationships, uncover dynamic solutions, and promote business growth and success. Today, I'm so honored and pleased to welcome my special guest, Chris Heine, who is founder and owner of Ideas+Logic, as I kick off a new theme for the month of April. And I'm calling this theme What I Wish I'd Known Then, because all month long I'm going to be asking my guests to answer the question, what do you know now that you wish you'd known when you started in business? But before we address that question with Chris today, Chris, would you help us understand a little bit more about yourself, about your business, Ideas+Logic?
Okay, well, Cindy, thank you so much for inviting me to be on your show. I'm so excited to be here, and it's such a great topic.
It is, absolutely.
And my business, Ideas+Logic, helps small businesses with their marketing, and I do 3 or 4 main things. I help them with their strategy, so they have a powerful strategy to basically to make money with. How are they going to use what they do? What are their differentiators, their brand? How does that all come together to go into the marketplace and help them make money? Then that might involve many things. It could involve advertising, and it could mean that we improve their website. It could mean that we do something innovative like marketing automation that many businesses don't have. And so once we identify those strategies, I help them put them into place. And I love what I do. And I came to this business because I had spent maybe 7, 8 years doing startup companies in the energy industry.
Okay.
In the early stages, deregulation, where you had hand raisers and you had companies that went into sign them up.
Okay.
And I realized, having been through the startup process, that there's a huge amount of strategy and strategic thinking and analysis and research that goes into that. A lot of businesses don't stop and do that. They just jump in. They know what they want to sell, and they think if they build it, people will come. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes out of luck that might happen, right?
It does happen sometimes out of luck, and they just hit on the right combinations of things, or they get a great story someplace, and that propels them forward. But I wanted to help small business owners have that same kind of strategic thinking that's the backbone of a powerful market presence. So
I'm hearing you use that word strategy or strategic thinking a lot. And it's one of the things that drew me to you a number of years ago when I was teaching at Robert Morris University, is where we first met.
Right.
I was teaching marketing classes and looking for someone who was actually out there practicing as a marketing consultant. And I reached out to you. It was a cold call, but you were so gracious to come in and share your insight with the students, and I know they benefited from it, and I certainly did. And it's been wonderful to watch your career continue to grow since that time. You were already successful then, but now you have Ideas+Logic, which I love that name. So how did you come up with Ideas+Logic?
Well, I had a name change myself, and I needed to, and my previous company name had been my previous name. And so I was in a position to say, what do I do? I was at a crossroads. Do I keep this former name, or do I rebrand the company? And I chose to rebrand, and I didn't dislike my former name.
Sure.
But what I felt was Ideas+Logic really encapsulated what I like to bring. I come from a creative background, so I write and I design. That's just part of who I am. Well, it was part of my early career, so I have that kind of hands-on, and I love doing that. But I don't just want to make something purely beautiful. I want the things I create to have a reason for being. I want them to play a part, an important part in what that business owner is trying to achieve. And so Ideas+Logic seem to capture those two left brain, right brain sides of what I do.
I really think it does. Knowing you and having known you for a while now, I really do think it captures that. So we don't all start out with those wonderful ideas for our businesses when we're beginning in business. So that's why I really wanted to be able to ask my guests that burning question. What do you know now, Chris, that you wish you'd known when you started in business?
Well, and even though I worked for startups, and you think, oh, I've helped create these companies, so I know so much about a startup. It's totally different when it's your own business, and it's totally different when it's just you, and you don't have a team around you to start with, you just have you. And I think one of the first things I struggled with was understanding who my target audience is. And I just talked to everybody. If you even looked like you wanted to have coffee with me, I was out having coffee with you. And then I realized that was in the beginning, that's my only currency is my time, and so I need to spend it wisely.
Okay.
And I learned that I had to figure out who it was that actually had money to spend with me. It couldn't be too early in the business process, because they don't have a budget yet, but and it can't be too late because that's the company that already has marketing probably embedded in the company. Maybe they still need some help. That doesn't mean that they don't, but it's that somewhere in between the very early stage. It wasn't the angel investor level because they really don't have a marketing budget. They're kind of doing everything themselves. It was beyond that, where they'd started to get a little traction, but they wanted to grow, and that the people who are most passionate about the growth, those were my best targets. The people who had a vision. Maybe they have 2 or 3 businesses they're trying to do at the same time. Those are really driven. And
the serial entrepreneur.
The serial entrepreneur, or the, yes, even the simultaneously serial entrepreneur. I've got this business, but I'm also trying to do this, and I'm trying to do that.
I can relate to that a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I love that idea, and I think that probably is one of the most requested topics that we're getting here on Business Minds, is to help people with their target marketing. So you're saying, though, it's not just your customer, but it's being strategic about how you're spending your time as a new business owner to connect with the right people.
Yes, to connect with the right people, and being strategic about your time, being strategic about where you spend your money, having a plan, not just throwing money out there, but knowing that when people hear this ad, they're going to come click on this place on your website, and then there's going to be a form, and that's going to take them to a place where you can continue to nurture the conversation and educate and inform them and offer them offers, and having that little almost like a spider web of sticky places.
That's a great way to put it. Yes.
I read that recently. They said a spider web has some places that aren't sticky and some that are, and the spider sits where it's not sticky, and the rest of it is sticky. And so when you think about your marketing, think about how to create stickiness in what you do, and always ask for the sale. Don't, give people a reason to come and get some connection with you. That connection is what you're going to build, a bigger connection and a bigger relationship, and eventually, we hope, a sale. So
that makes so much sense. I hate spiders, Chris.
Okay,
but
well, I'm not
I love the idea. No, I love this analogy of the spider web, though. I mean, that's so powerful. And I know it's going to stay in my mind to think about that. And so marketing is spinning your web strategically and creating those sticky points. I love that. What else do you wish you'd known back when you first started your business?
You know, when you first start talking with your prospects and some of the things you say to them really are what they want, and you get that little widening eyes, and you realize that you've just said something that really connects with that person.
Okay.
So you want messaging that differentiates. So that's part of it. What really turns on your customer base, and how do you incorporate that in what you say about yourself? So that would be one of the things that it took a few years for me to start working on. How do I say something different about myself that's attention getting?
Creating that distinction is a huge challenge oftentimes. You know, I know you probably have clients that you work with along those lines, and just as a business coach and thinking partner myself, whenever I see a new startup business out there, it's another pizza place, it's another bar. In my mind, I immediately go to what's different about this one.
Right. 2 reasons advertising isn't effective. One is everybody just wants to say the same thing.
Yes.
And the other is people lie in their advertising. They want to say what
hyperbole, we call it, right?
Yes. It's really
We're
a lie,
the best.
but yes, we're the best, and everybody says that. And so the viewer looks at it and they go, well, I've been there, and they are not the best. And it undermines the credibility of what you're trying to do.
Yes.
So even if it's just an email, no matter what you're trying to do, trying to find a way to take the truth and the really good thing that you do and say it in a way that resonates with people. And they go, oh, yes, I've been there. That's true about that. And
do you find that some of the businesses, and maybe some you've worked with over the years, tend to be a little too inward focused? They're not really thinking about how to make that message resonate with their target audience.
Yes, and I think there's a huge fear in corporate cultures where people don't want to appear different. That's risky. We all like that comfortable place. If that bank says this, we would like to say something. We like that, what they said. We want to say the same thing.
Okay.
And so I think it's a lack of risk taking. It feels risky to be honest. It feels risky to be, shall we say, frank about maybe what we don't do, but then what we do.
But that authenticity, don't you find that's what really draws people in, hands down?
Yes, it's totally captivating. If you're going to send an email, make it sound authentic. Don't just keep writing so that people in the end only hear, they hear that wah, 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 wah.
The Charlie Brown teacher voice.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and people don't read a lot now, so make it bullet points, make it.
Sure.
So when you're messaging your business, make it unique, and if you give it to someone else and they don't feel like it is, then you need to rewrite it.
Rewrite it. This is such valuable information. If you're just tuning in, we're talking with Chris Heine, owner and founder of Ideas+Logic. She's answering my question, what do you know now that you wish you'd known when you started in business? So what else did you bring with you today as some thoughts, Chris?
Consistency.
Okay, yeah.
Consistency. And no matter how you're marketing your business, be it networking groups, you need to show up. You need to be there every time. And this is not something I do well, but if you can show up early, and you'll have more time to talk to people. So showing up and continuing to do that. I didn't realize that in the beginning. I didn't understand that me being there every single week was part of me building that relationship in that group.
You know, I love that you're saying that, because I think in this digital age, we think that face-to-face interaction is not as important.
Yes.
It's extremely important, in my opinion, and it sounds like you support that as well, that actually being able to see someone, see their body language, their facial expressions, have them experience you and who you are. Your brand is showing up, right?
Yeah, so I found if I just keep my mouth shut, I show up one way. And once I start talking, I show up an entirely different way. And people find out what I'm really about. And so what I found is also I had to be the authentic me and let my hair down a little bit and you know, make a few jokes that I would make, and then people would say, oh, that, I mean, and I really started building friendships more when I figured that out, when I figured out how to do that. So,
you know, I mentioned at the start of the show today that building relationships is one of the goals of Business Minds, and this is really what we're talking about here, right? It's using your marketing strategically in many ways, but also getting out there and building relationships and doing it in a way where people really get to know the real you and the authentic you. Looking at a website or even a Facebook page is one-dimensional.
it is. All the more reason to try to make that reflect at you authentically as much as you can.
So that's one of the things that you are an expert in. You, as a marketing consultant, you're going to help somebody bring that authenticity into their marketing platforms, the media that they might be using and so forth, all the different ways that they're marketing their business. Wow, that's not easy to do though, right?
It isn't easy to do, and it's hard for people to let you do that. So, you know, while people want to appear and how they actually are, you know, sometimes they want that big gap, but in reality, the more they can have it be them,
The better.
The better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. And you're certainly preaching to the choir here.
Right.
You know, when I talk to people about their personal brand or their business brand, talk about people being up in front of an audience, being real, presenting yourself as an authentic individual, because we don't want to deal with people who are fake or phony or trying to put on some type of persona, because people can read through that, right?
Yes.
You mentioned to me before the show that advertising is still an important medium, but people don't trust it as much anymore. Why do you think that is?
I think that people don't trust it because we have not been authentic in it, because we tend to say things that we think is how we should appear instead of how we really are. When you have that dichotomy of, like, I've been to that business, they're very different than that, that isn't, then you don't trust that message. And then you don't trust all messages. So it's that leap.
You tend to apply it to everything then.
Yeah,
Okay.
you start
Makes
to,
good
it
sense.
starts to undermine everybody's advertising, not just your own. And so when people are more skeptical, then they take every claim a business makes with such a grain of salt that they tend not to believe them. They want to discount everything. It's very hard to get around that. People really have to work. It makes
It's kind of like confirmation bias. When we have a first impression of something, no matter how many more times we might encounter that business or that person, we're going to still look for things that confirm our first impression. And if that was a negative one, of course that's not something that you want to have happen.
Right. And if you believe all businesses lie in their marketing,
There's a
then you're
challenge
going
right
to
there.
look at their marketing and believe it's lies. And so it's, you know, when we do marketing, we do everybody a favor. The better job, the more straightforward and honest job, the more interesting and yet authentic job that we can do. We do everybody a favor because all of a sudden it's more believable.
Okay,
Because
I love
it's
that.
more true. It's more closer to the experience that the customer is going to have when they get there.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. What else? You've got some other things on your list there, I think, about
Well,
what you wish you'd known back then.
okay, don't do it all yourself. You need a network. And that was something it took me a long while to realize, that even when you can do something, sometimes you need to hand it off to someone else just for efficiency, just because you're busy on another part of the project. And so having other sources, even if they're not employees, that helps you move forward in your business. So
It is sometimes out of necessity, you're doing it all yourself, right? When you
Yes.
first start a business.
Yes, you are.
But even then, I love that you're saying it doesn't have to be hired employees. It can be
Right.
that you're reaching out to other resources to either fill in the gaps where you lack time or a skill or a
Yes,
strength, right?
right.
And to be able to recognize that in yourself.
Yes.
And to build a team of people that you can turn to and still accomplish what you're wanting to accomplish, and be able to move forward with your business.
Yes.
Because not every startup is going to be able to afford employees right off the bat, but still having some people that can support you along the way.
Right. And you may choose not to have employees. I'm old enough that, I think, well, do I really want to manage that, or would I really prefer just to manage myself and outside resources, which tend to be professionals? So managing professionals is a totally different thing than managing someone maybe with less experience who's an employee, and you're bringing them along, you're bringing them up, but that takes a lot of time, and I found, it cuts your efficiency down some as well when your own working.
It can for sure. But I think what I'm hearing you say is, excuse me, is at least recognize when you're at that point. That's instead of plodding along and trying to make it all work when you know better. But you didn't know better back then, right?
I didn't.
I didn't either. Not that I have this huge team of people around me now. However, I did. I was, you are everything. You are your marketing department. You are your accountant, your bookkeeper, your scheduler, your salesperson, your everything. And you're still going out to having coffee with people and networking and joining professional organizations.
And when you look at how much you need to communicate with each of those stakeholders, it's almost more than you can physically do. That's where having good processes, maybe automating some of those communications.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because isn't that one of the newer services that you offer through your business?
Yes, and that was one of my learnings was I needed to bring a different skill to the table that other people weren't offering. That was one way I differentiated.
Okay.
There are a lot of people who do websites. There are a lot of people who can do ads for you. And maybe I do bring something different in terms of strategy and the thinking behind it, but I've worked enough with other marketing people to know that audiences, our customers, don't always know the difference between that.
That's true.
And what I heard people saying really since my earliest days of being in this business is, well, I tried advertising, it just didn't work. I did that. It didn't work for me.
Tried it, didn't work, so therefore I'm not going to do anything.
And when I analyzed that, what I think happens is, yes, they did advertising, and a certain percentage of the people were ready to buy that came to that advertising, and they acted. But if you look at your Google Analytics, a lot more people come to your website and then buy. So what happens to the rest of those people? And maybe some of them just got there by accident, but others were probably genuinely interested, but they're not ready to buy. Excuse me. So what marketing automation lets you do is bridge that. All the activities you do to drive awareness and to get people to buy from you, to come to your website, to interact with you, but it allows you to grab hold of them and continue to educate, to inform, to promote, to give, special offers, and keep in touch with them until the point, keep top of mind until the point when they do decide to buy.
It's almost like, top of mind awareness is a marketing term that's been around for a while, but what I'm
Yes.
hearing you say with the automation piece is it's top of mind awareness and you're building a relationship
Yes.
even before they're buying from you. So it's almost as though you are pointing them in the direction of something that they don't even know they need or want to buy yet, in a way.
Yes.
Is that safe to say?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that approach.
Yes, and I became Infusionsoft certified just so I could offer this because it's a powerful, powerful tool. And being certified allows me to kind of build that spider web for someone, that continuing to market after the initial interest, package it, and we can actually resell it to other people in your industry.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can actually create a product assuming your needs are probably the same as somebody else's needs.
Sure, that makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
It also, the nice other side benefits, you can also automate, communications to your customers. You could do follow-up at a certain point in time in the future. If you know somebody runs out of something in so many months, then you could initiate contact with them. Their contract comes up, you can start to reach out to them again in a deliberate way. And no matter how busy you are, you can still do this because it's all preset.
I was going to say, this has a direct connection to us talking earlier about the fact that you're trying to do everything.
Yes.
And so what can you automate? And this sounds like a wonderful tool. Well, Chris, how can people reach you and find out more about your business?
Well, they can go to my website, Ideas+Logic.com.
Okay.
They can email me, Chris, C-H-R-I-S, at Ideas+Logic.com.
Okay.
Or call me, 309-840-3702, or text me. Either one. I'm good with either. If you don't remember any of this, I'm on Facebook, and you can find me on Facebook, Chris Heine, and just private message me on Facebook.
Okay. And she's very responsive on Facebook, I will tell you that a lot. And such a joy to have you here today and sharing your insight, answering that question, what do you know now that you wish you'd known then? Remember, that's a question that we're going to continue to explore throughout the rest of April. My guests will be asked to talk about that question, and you can look forward to that on April the 17th and again on April the 24th. I do want to remind you that Business Minds is on Facebook. Please contact us there. You can follow us, like us. Of course, we want all those wonderful things. Comment on the show. I really would love your feedback. The program is for you, the viewers and listeners, and it's important that I'm providing content that is relevant to you. So also let me know what topics you'd like to hear about for future programs. I'm in the process of looking ahead to the next several months, and over the summer want to bring some exciting and thought-provoking and unique programming your way through this venue. So you can email me, of course message me on the Business Minds Facebook page, but you can also email me at businessminds@email.com. I'm Cindy Bird, and it's been a pleasure to be here with you this morning. I want to thank Chris Heine once more for being my special guest.
You are welcome.
It's been a joy to have you here. As I said, marketing is so important to every business out there, and Chris has really provided us with some wonderful tips today. Thanks for watching.
PeoriaLife.com